In the 1st century AD, Pontius Pilate asked the famous question, "What is truth?" Despite having the embodiment of truth facing him in the eye, with Jesus Christ himself standing before him, Pilate decided to give in to the mob and avoid being canceled by the Jewish people, who would have ensured that Rome would remove him from his post if he didn't comply. Pilate crucified the truth that day in Jerusalem, and for the next 2,000 years, man has pursued truth, discovering many truths about our world and the universe as a whole, thanks to man's pursuit of God first and knowledge second. But as long as it took to find the truth that we have, it has taken just a few generations, perhaps one, to completely erase that progress. It appears we haven't learned from our past because today we are now crucifying the truth on the altar of postmodernism, progressivism, cultural Marxism, and while Pilate denied the truth, our culture today not only denies the truth, but denies the fact that truth actually exists, which is a direct assault on and a denial of God, who is the objective standard of truth. Denying God's truth is not new. Satan himself was the first to do so in the garden when he lied to Eve and convinced her to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He said, "You will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." You might ask, so what? Why do we need truth anyway? If you had asked me that question 10, 15, or 20 years ago, I'd have to convince you of where this could lead. But unfortunately, we are witnessing the effects of a society that's lost its grip on reality. And I don't have to talk about potentials to show the madness that can occur. Just a decade ago, you may have heard of mass psychosis, but it only appeared in cults, right? It couldn't happen to an entire country or even world. But look at us now, when you have a president and an administration agreeing that men can get pregnant, where society tells us there's no difference between men and women, yet these same people cry for women's rights, where feminists stand with Islam, yet Christians are evil for caring about the unborn and believe that all humans were made in the image of God, where millions of people think the unborn are not human enough to live, leaving the little children to perish in the womb in the name of women's rights, yet half those babies are female themselves, where people who claim to fight against discrimination are perpetuating it themselves as they spread hatred toward and target certain people of skin colors for what happened before they were born. And the media fuels it all, constantly lying and getting caught, but no one cares to notice. And of all people, liberals stand by the government and don't ask questions, and then hate their neighbors who don't buy the lies and dare to ask for more government transparency. Where mothers and fathers allow Big Pharma to jab their perfectly healthy babies with something that could have lifelong implications in an effort to protect them from an infection that largely affects the elderly and immune-compromised people. Where these same parents allow the culture to infect their children's minds with gender ideology, claiming a child can pick their gender and teens can go under the knife for cosmetic surgery that will undoubtedly change their bodies forever. Forget tattoos, you have to wait until you're 18 to get ink, but top and bottom surgery is okay? Where public libraries host events with men dressed in drag reading to your children, and children are targeted on Twitter, but no one bats an eye, yet conservatives are banned from public discourse because they don't agree with the hive mind, where Christmas is offensive but drag queen story hours should be celebrated. I'm tired. Our priorities are upside down and it doesn't make sense, but at the same time, it does because it was written in God's word thousands of years ago. And although I am very surprised at where our culture has gone, we shouldn't be surprised. Even the Apostle Paul warned us in 2 Timothy chapter 3 verses 1 through 5, he says, "But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its power." Yikes. That is us. Our culture in a nutshell. How far are we from Sodom and Gomorrah? Or Noah's day? How long until God has said enough? We've lost our way and the truth is gone, but nobody is asking questions and nobody cares because perhaps without truth they don't have to be responsible for their action. Everyone can be a victim, even the perpetrators and child predators who our culture is actively destigmatizing. It's gross. And once again, the Bible warned us of this very day. In Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20, it says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness." What's the takeaway? It's easy to hate the people who drive this insanity, but Jesus calls us to love our neighbors and our enemies, to shine God's light no matter what happens, to stand for truth amid the sea of lies, because there are some out there that are listening and are looking for hope. We can't reach them if we fall into the hate ourselves and get wrapped up in the back and forth, or if we pull ourselves out of society completely. Remember, we are to be in the world, but not of the world. But there's a bigger lesson for us to not hate those who are spreading the lies. Paul says in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 12 and 13, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand." Take care and God bless.